Hey everybody, Alan Ward here from Slow Fortune, and in today's video I'm going to explain to you how to use your MyGov account to get the early release of superannuation. So as part of the COVID-19 response, the Australian government earlier this year put in place legislation that allows eligible people to get early access to their superannuation to the tune of $10,000 this financial year and $10,000 next financial year. I've done a video on that. Go check that out around how it works. This video will walk you through the actual process. So how do I apply and how do I get it? It's actually very, very simple. Most Australians will have a MyGov account. This is what you need to start the process of getting the early release of your superannuation. So you log into your MyGov account and you click on the Australian Taxation Office section. If you haven't already linked the ATO to your MyGov account, you can set that up from that screen. It's a pretty simple process. So for now, let's assume you got the access. You click on the Australian Taxation Office button to go to that part of MyGov. Once you're in there, there's a section, a little button you'll see called Coronavirus Release. That's what you would click through to begin the process. But before you do that, just scroll down a little bit further, and there's a section there that should list all of your superannuation funds. This is important because if your funds actually aren't listed, then the ATO can't allow the early release of super because as far as it's concerned, you don't have any super. So just make sure that your funds, or particularly the funds you want to access your superannuation from, is listed there, and then click that Coronavirus Release section. The first page then just sets out the guidelines. So it talks about how the system works and so on. And then you just hit the apply button and you're taken to the next screen and you start the process to apply for your super. The first bit is all about eligibility, and it asks you if you're an Australian resident or whether you have a temporary residence visa, because they are the criteria to access your super, or one of the criteria. So you select which one is appropriate, move on to the next eligibility section. The next section is pretty much some ticker boxes just to say your contact details are correct and you understand the eligibility requirements. Then you hit the next button to go to the next stage of eligibility. The next section is the reason section, and in this one you tick a box to select the reason you are eligible to access your superannuation. So in the example I've done, it's all about redundancy. So that's the box that I've ticked. Make sure you tick the right box and make sure you are eligible. Do not do this fraudulently or you'll no doubt be found out down the track and there'll be penalties that will apply. Now we're up to the release section. There's two things you need to action in this section. Number one is select the appropriate superannuation fund. For me, I only have one super fund that's listed in there, so that would be the one where all my money comes from. If you had a couple of funds, for instance, that were listed there, you could pick which fund the money can come from. That's one part of it. The second part of it is where do you want the money to go to? This is the important bit. What's your bank account detail? And that's what you put into the second section. Then you move on to the last bit of the process. Last bit's pretty straightforward. It's the summary page. It's just the summary of all the sections you've completed before. Have a read over it. Make sure you're comfortable with things. If you've made a mistake, go back and fix it. And then once you're done, well, you just hit that submit button. And then in the background, what happens is the ATO sends that information off to your superannuation fund and instructs them to release the money to your bank account. The process should be done in around 3 to 5 days. Most of the examples I've heard of from people, it's happened pretty quickly. There have been a few where it's been slower, a few where it's been quicker. That in a nutshell is how you apply for the early release of your superannuation. It's a pretty straightforward process. It took me all of 5 minutes to go through and do it. And as I said, whether you should or shouldn't do it or not, that's the subject of another video that I've done. It's up to you. Sometimes there's no right or wrong answer in financial planning things. It's what works best for you and what your needs and circumstances are. Really hope you enjoyed the video. You are more than welcome to hit that like button, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.